David, thanks again for that program. And it's
My pleasure.
my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. We're going to move east now over to Delaware, the area where there are 3 conservation districts in Delaware. Tim Riley is with us today with the Kent Conservation District. Tim, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Thank you all. Mine will have a little bit different perspective, only because I have been here for a very long time and I've been involved in a couple of different moves. And I have also been involved with our district attempting to go the route of owning our own building and then eventually doing that at 2 different times. So I am Tim Riley. I'm the district coordinator here at the Kent Conservation District. I've been here 30.5 years now, so it's been a little while. I'll quickly get to my slides and I will be riffing quite a bit. So bear with me okay. So as you can see, we're made up as a governmental subdivision. We have the supervisors. You can see how they're put together. And just a point of note, if any of you didn't already know, Mike Brown is actually one of my supervisors here at my local district board. So he is one of those 2 appointed that you see in the middle of the screen there, 2 appointed by the Department of Natural Resources Secretary. He actually started as an associate member with us. He used to work for that Department of Natural Resources for his career before retiring and becoming the executive director of NASCA. So anywho, he knows quite a bit of this story I'm getting ready to tell. We are one of 3 conservation districts in Delaware, as Ray alluded to. And I will say that we are 3 very successful districts. And I'm confident to say that being involved on the national level. All 3 of us are very successful financially, but all 3 of us have a little bit different model of which is our main moneymaker. So it's an interesting story. As you can see there, we are, all 3 of our 2 other districts are co-located with NRCS in some fashion. We are the only district now that is not, and we have only not been co-located since 2019. So I'll go back to our district thing before we get to this slide. You can start to read through that slide a little bit, but in terms of our 3 districts, my district's budget runs anywhere from $6 million to $8 million a year. We get $0 from the state or from federal or from county to keep our lights on. So we are much like the main district with Chris, where all of our programs are fee-for-service programs, or we are the delegated agency to run some state programs. So we obviously get administrative fees through those programs. But again, we have to reapply for delegation every so many years and prove that we still do a good job with those programs to be able to keep funding. Probably the most unique program is actually my district and our main moneymaker, and that is what we affectionately call a contractual payroll program. And so my district, I have 15 conservation district employees here in our building, and in total, my district has anywhere between 90 to 100 employees at any given time. All of the other employees that are not my main 15 all are either Department of Natural Resources people, or they are Department of Ag, or they might be with our local RC&D. And essentially those agencies get funding to do jobs, but they're not allowed to hire anybody, either because of the state hiring freeze or state hiring limits, or the the local RC&D council only has like a grant for 2 years, those kind of things. So they will contract with us to hire that person. And as long as the job fits within our goals and missions at the Conservation District, we will hire that person as a Kent Conservation District employee. So again, I have anywhere from 75 to 90 employees up and down the state of Delaware that are Kent Conservation District employees that sit in state offices right beside other state employees and doing their job. We charge a 10% fee for that service. We handle all the human resources aspects of that, which is, many of you can probably guess, is a nightmare at times, but that's what we do, and that's our main moneymaker, to be honest with you. We also have a sediment stormwater program. We do an NPS grant program. We have quite a series of and system of tax ditches in Delaware. We help manage the tax ditches, and a couple other smaller programs we do. Now, to hit on how we got to where we are in terms of not being co-located with NRCS. As you can see, from 1943 to 2004, we were in various locations, USDA lease, the entire facility, and it was FSA controlled. And I don't know if many of you on this webinar may not know this. I've learned this during our 2019 issues. The way that they work with the leases around the country is that USDA, the lease is either controlled by FSA or it's controlled by NRCS. And in Delaware, it happens to be controlled by FSA. What we learned, myself, Mike Brown learned, and others learned during this process was that at that time, about 51% of the leases nationwide were controlled by FSA. 49% were controlled by NRCS. That's important. And the reason that's important is, and it's really what affected us, is that FSA, in brass terms, really don't give a crap about our partnership, about the fact that we've been partners for 90 years or whatever. They don't care. I mean, why would they care? So when it comes to trying to do a lease and you're dealing with FSA as the controlling agency, they don't put the weight into the partnership and the importance into the partnership as NRCS would, and NRCS did in our account, but they just couldn't overcome the fact that they didn't control it. So it is what it is. What happened is that we at the Kent Conservation District, we purchased our own building. It is a 14,680 square foot building. We completely gutted it and renovated it, and we are very happy to be here. We have plenty of room. As Mike Brown will tell you, we have plenty of room to rent out. Much of that room was supposed to be taken up by USDA. We went through the whole process. I was the one who handled the 162-page document you have to put together to bid on a lease for the USDA. I went back and forth with all the headaches of every little change they tried to make, get with our architect, make them make a change. They'd make the change. We got billed for the change, and USDA still didn't come. So I would say they cost us anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 and never came here. So we're not exactly pleased with that process, and nothing against the individual people. It's the process that we are not pleased with. So when we were at the Del Dot building there, 2004 to 2019, KCD had their own lease for our own space. That really played in, as has been alluded to by other speakers, when they did the government shutdowns, those kind of things. We had a shared main big copier over there that was our main copier scanner kind of thing. And when we were told that the government was shutting down, we weren't allowed to come in the office. Of course, we said, we have our own lease, so we'll be in. And they said, well, the copier will be turned off. I said, okay, that's fine. We paid for the refrigerator. So however many days that the copier is turned off while your government shut down, when you come back, there'll be a lock on the refrigerator. You can't use it for that many days. So we played a little game back and forth with that. It was a fun little exercise in-house, how we did that. But anyway, so as you see, we had mutual phones, copier, postage meter, common areas, all that stuff was mutual when we were in that building. And that helped us share the cost, as has been alluded to by other speakers. From 2019 to present, again, separate locations. How'd we get here? I've already went over some of this. I talked about the architectural design issues and the many back and forth I went with USDA, GSA, all of that. And I'm not afraid to be straight up about this. I was on a conference call at one point with GSA and some FSA representatives regarding the building and one of the architectural things. And on our plan for our building, we have a very nice sized conference room that we're going to be renting out and using it as a little bit of a moneymaker. And I had it on the plan, had it highlighted and said that this conference room is not is not being incorporated in the lease. It is free to use as needed by the USDA offices. And the GSA representative on the phone, one of the reasons they wanted to have the call was they told me that I had to remove that from the plan and that I could not have that as part of the lease. And so I said, so you're telling me that we can't offer that as a conference room for them to use? And they said, that's what we're telling you unless you bill us for it. And I said, so you're telling me, I said, if you're telling me that I have to tell the USDA employees that they cannot use that conference room, and I have to take that off the plan, that's exactly what I'll do. And they said, that's what you have to do. I said, okay, you're really into the partnership. I get it. So the negative impacts of not being co-located. And again, as you saw, I came here in 1991. So I was co-located from 91 until 2019. And we worked very well together with NRCS as partners. And we worked well with the FSA. So it wasn't anything with the people, wasn't anything with the individuals. It just didn't, we worked really well together. The negative impacts is obviously the customer service. It's been talked on here before already about the back and forth, confusion of the programs. We have a state cost share program here at the district that we work with the farmers and producers, that we put funding out there for cover crops and structures and such like that. Same funding they can get through EQIP, through NRCS. I have 2 planners on my staff that you'll see there, effects on conservation planners. One of those planners is funded through an NRCS cooperative agreement. The other one is funded through a NPS 319 grant. Both of those planners in their work plan is to help NRCS deliver their EQIP programs and deliver all of their financial programs and to hit their marks. And so obviously the running back and forth for them, the computer issues of having to go Wi-Fi in on the federal computer system as opposed to be sitting in their building being hardwired, it becomes a nightmare. The camaraderie challenges has been alluded to. Again, being co-located all those years, you know, you're in the office with them. You know, you can cut up with them, you can have lunch with them, you can do all that kind of stuff. So it is a little different for us in the fact that we were co-located for so long, and many of us have been here for a good long time. Right now, it is still kind of an open sore. The camaraderie is just, you know, just falling apart quickly, and COVID really put together the perfect storm for this. We came here in October of 2019. Obviously, March of 2020, everything shut down. So since then, they all have been working from home, of course, which didn't really matter because we're not in the same building. But in the same time, they've had a lot of staff turnover. So all but one of their staff in our county office now is completely different than it was before. And so we've never really met all but one of them. And so it's, you know, it's just really difficult on the camaraderie part of it all. And we're working through it. It's not impossible. And again, I think I've alluded to and gave you a pretty fresh perspective that we as a Kent Conservation District, we don't need them in any way, shape, or form financially. We were actually going to be taking a little bit of a hit to have them come here and rent from us. So we want them as a partner only because it's best for our producers. Is that you're doing that, Ray, or is that my thing jumping?
Yeah, I'm doing it for you.
Okay, very good. Very good. I appreciate it. So, so we, you know, it's just a matter of a partnership. I actually, when I put the 162-page document together and for USDA GS, I wanted to make sure I had some things in order that I'm not a real estate specialist. So I sent it out to a real estate specialist and had him look at it. And he called me up and said, Tim, I'm in the real estate business and I would never go through this, and I would never do this for the little bit of square footage they're going to be renting from you, 3,500 square feet. He said, why are you doing this? And I said, well, you know, there's this 90-year partnership, blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, okay, I get it. And so, you know, it was a lot of hard work, and I have the pains from it, and my board has the pains from it. And so, you know, and I will tell you, we're not alone. This is, as Ray alluded to, all of the districts in Washington that have become not co-located, and other districts, Chris referenced, you know, the building issue where they all of a sudden couldn't afford the rent. Was it Anisha, I think, talked about, they moved out, and district couldn't move with them because of the expense. And so, you know, those kind of things, it hits us locally, but it's a decision from way above. And so, and again, the losers here, I would say the big losers is our producers, who, again, don't know what building am I supposed to go to for this? and they end up at one building, as Amy referenced. They end up at one building and they're supposed to be at the other building, and we send them back and forth. And, it's just that part of it has been very tough because, again, it's only been 2 years for us. And, COVID again made it very tough because we try to send them to a building where there's nobody there. So that was tough as well. So I riff a little bit. I don't have a prepared speech, but I know enough about it that I feel like I give pretty in-depth value for what I'm saying. So if there's any questions, please feel free to hit me up.